Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Gananaham Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavin Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspadanash Chanman Nudivisi Dasadanam Om Shri Mahaganapatahe Namaha. Shruti Smruti Puranana Malayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Sadashiva Samarambam Shankara Acharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Parjantam Vande Shri Guru Paramparam Om Shri Shankaracharya Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Gunaktu Sahavirjam Karavavahai Tejaspi Navadi Damastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.
Namaste Mahodaya.
Namaste.
Krishna Pavani Bhagini.
Namaste Mahodaya.
Namaste.
Mahabhutanyaham buddhiravyaktameva cha indriyani dashaikancha panchachendriya gocharaha.
Good.
Rajeshwari Shivshankar Bhagini.
Namaste Mahodaya.
Namaste.
Ichhat vesha sukham dukkham sanghadaschetana dhrutihi etat kshetram samasena savikaram udahritam.
Good.
Lalita Bhagini.
Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham stairyamatma vinigraha.
Good.
Lakshmi Bibi Bhagini.
Indriyateshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam.
Good.
Gurumurthy Mahodaya.
Namaste sir. Asakti ranabhishtang Asakti ranabhishpangaha putradara grihadishu nityancha samajittatvam ishtanisto pabattishu.
Good. Next.
Sri Lakshmi Bhagini.
Namaste Mahodaya.
Namaste.
Mayi chananya yogena bhaktiravyabhicharini viviktadesha sevitvam aratirjana samsadi.
Good.
Ushat Srinivasan Bhagini.
Adhyatmajnana nityatvam tattvajnanartha darshanam etat jnanamiti proktam ajnanayyadatonyatam.
Good. So we started discussing these 20 values that we have got in these 5 shlokas. And we have just completed Amanitvam, Adambitvam. So as we discussed yesterday, Amanitvam is a personal glory. Internally, the person feels he has got a great admiration for him. He feels he is great. He is having, some best of things with himself. And he expects the admiration that he has in himself to be respected and recognized when he goes out in public. That is what is Manitvam. So a person should cultivate the habit of humility. Amanitvam is person has got to be humble. So humility is one thing that has got to be cultivated. And we took example of M.S. Subbulakshmi and also Abdul Kalam in terms of the great people, but still they had a lot of humility with them when they approach different types of people and different classes of people and different people in different societies when they met also. They were having that humility with them. So though they had accomplishments were world class. So Amanitvam. Adambitvam is physical. Okay. Amanitvam is primarily it's internal. Adhambitvam is externally flaunting. They want to be egregious in a group. Egregious means that if this person comes, everybody has to spot him immediately, him or her immediately. He has to be different from the crowd. So that is called damba. So adhambitvam means you should not be like that. When you are even going to a crowd, you should just mingle with the crowd. When you are going to a kind of any specific function, you should be a part of the function rather than getting into the spotlight. Okay. And then the way they talk, the way they behave, the way they flaunt their various things, it's all called damba. So amanitvam is internal glorification. Adambitvam means trying to glorify and then becoming something different when they are going to be in external group of things. There's one more thing that is also going to be talked about, anahankara, which will come in the next few slokas. That is also one of the values. So these three things are almost close. Amanitvam, adambitvam, and anahankara. They're all very, very close in terms of meaning. So I'll just, though I'll be talking about it slightly in detail when you take anahankara, in the context of internal is amanitvam, internal glorification and trying to get recognition is amanitvam. Externally flaunting is going to be is dambitvam, and ahankara is verbally showing up is called ahankara. So the same thing, the characteristics when you are going to be verbally keep on till I like that, that is ahankara. So verbal is ahankara, internal glorification is manitvam. So, verbal is internal glorification is manitvam, and externally flaunting is dambitvam. So he says amanitvam and adambitvam in these two slokas. He says that is one of the qualities we need to develop. Amanitvam is humility. Adambitvam is simplicity. A person should be very simple. He should be very, very humble and simple. So amanitvam, adambitvam. The third quality that is being talked about is called ahimsa. Ahimsa is not hurting, non-violent is ahimsa. So when you look at ahimsa, one of the fundamental things is that we need to understand that we are also a part of the creation of Bhagavan. The way we have a right to live, every other things in the society or in the creation has got right to live. The way we do not want us to be hurt, we also should ensure that others are not hurt. The animals are not hurt. For example, one of the first things that they do in the case of sannyasa is that ahimsa. Ahimsa is one thing that they take a vow. They will not do himsa to anybody, whether it's an animal or people, anything, they will not do any kind of himsa. And another thing is that there are many people who have taken sannyasa from our various missions like Ramakrishna Mission, Dayananda Saraswati Ashram, etc., from abroad. A lot of Americans are there, they have taken this vow. People who have been brought up in a culture of eating hardcore non-vegetarian food, after getting into this particular sampradaya, they all given up. They all understood what is the value of ahimsa. They have given up eating these kinds of non-vegetarian things because it is himsa. In fact, in some of the South Indian families, they are also now looking at not buying silk because silk is produced by putting silkworms in boiling water and then taking the some kind of gossamer like thing comes out and then they produce silk. So they even don't wear silk sarees. Kaji Paramacharya also was very, very vocal in telling that do not use silk sarees, buy cotton sarees, that is more than sufficient because we are doing himsa to a small insect like a silkworm. So himsa. So when you look at himsa, there are different types of himsa. If you look at an animal, if you look at an animal does not have a verbal himsa, it cannot do. Whereas a human being, we are capable of doing verbal himsa also. We can abuse. People can abuse anybody. They can abuse servant maids. They can abuse when they are getting stuck in a traffic. They can start abusing. Any given opportunity when they are provocating, they abuse. Abuse is also a form of himsa because it hurts people. So, kayena, physical, manasa, and vacha. Vacha means abusing verbally. That also is an abuse. That also is a himsa. Then manasa, even when you think of hurting somebody, in mind is also again a himsa. So we have to be very, very clear that as we start becoming more and more into a spiritual growth, we have to be very conscious that neither by kayena, vacha, manasa, indriyerva, buddhya, None of these kinds of things should be used for abusing other people. And we have to also understand that I should not only live, everything in the creation also has got a right to live. Just because I am having a slightly a better kind of a birth, I do not have the authority to start doing himsa or even killing animals and then using it only for personal desires. So this is one of the things that they all very strongly talk in the case of Vedanta classes. They request people who are still committed to eating non-vegetarian because of their own habits. They request that you please consider, because it is going to be a himsa, and that's the first kind of control, self-control. Everybody has to have self-control. They've got fantastic things available for eating. So they say that please try to change yourself. So himsa is one of the things that needs to be given up, and ahimsa is the thing that they need to practice. So ahimsa is another value which is going to be very, very helpful in terms of cultivating a sattvic mind required for the jnana to be attained. The other thing that some people may ask a question, sir, why not are we not destroying plants? Are we not plucking plants and fruits? That's a very valid question. One of the answers that they gave is whenever you go and take something, if that is running away out of fear, avoid that. If you go and bring a chicken and then you want to eat, when you go and bring a chicken, chicken is out of fear and he wants to run away. A goat wants to run away. It all knows that there is a fear of survival. So anything that is wanted to run away from situation, first thing you avoid. Then if you start looking at plucking and eating, that also, if you look at our saints and all, they were avoiding that. Even for a yajna, they'll only take the twigs lying on the ground after falling from the trees, and they'll take it and then do the yajna. Any fruit that has fallen from the tree, they'll take and eat. But nevertheless, what is told is that if you want to be a kind of, everybody has to survive, and for your survive, the least himsa that you can do, you have to survive ultimately. It is not that Bhagavan has given this life for us to live, and then we have to also grow in spirituality. So to lead this life, we need to live for which food is required. And if you have to have food, do the least amount of himsa to anything that you are going to have. So even if you want to have something from the garden, you can take, but least himsa to the plant. Some people also say for flowers also, you don't pluck it, let it fall, then you take it. These are all different kinds of schools of thought. But we have to understand himsa as a very, very important thing that needs to be looked into, and ahimsa needs to be cultivated in terms of not only physical, mental, verbal, everything, because that is going to hurt somebody else. So this is the next quality. So amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa. The fourth one is kshanti. Kshanti means forbearance or tolerance or accommodation. Okay. So the thing is that when we are going to be interacting with people, it is always possible that the other person might not be having the same thought that we have. They are going to have a different thought process. Their behavior may sometimes be not very well in line with the kind of expected behavior that we have out of them. So in those kinds of cases, what happens is that there's a tendency for us to become angry. There's a tendency for us to become aggressive. So what is being told is that we need to have that kind of tolerance. You need to have an accommodative capability. You need to just accept and understand it is not that the individual wants to behave bad. Something in that individual is making him to behave bad. So try to understand and try to help him so that he is able to be helped out to come out of this particular kind of a thing, rather than having a hatred, rather than going and hitting him, rather than becoming aggressive. Try to accommodate. Accommodation of other people is important. For accommodating other people, it is also essential that we need to understand other people. We cannot, if somebody is behaving in a specific manner, there's some specific reason for that. So if we do not know why they are behaving like that, and then we immediately come to a conclusion, and then we become aggressive, it is not correct. So we have to cultivate the habit of kshanti, that is called forbearance, accommodation. And that also not only in the case of interacting, but even when you are going to be confronted with situations where things are not going as the way you want it to go, you need to have a tolerance. Okay, you need to have a tolerance. You may get stuck in a traffic, don't get irritated. You may have a delay in some flight, don't get irritated. The hotel, the server gives you a food where there is additional amount of salt that has been put. No, you can give a feedback. You say that, I'm suffering from salt problem. Yes, thoda salt kam kar do. You can talk in a friendly manner, try to make them corrected rather than being offensive and aggressive. So this is the other quality which is extremely important in terms of developing as an inner value. So amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shanti. The next one is called arjavam. Arjavam is a very, very beautiful word. Okay. Arjavam is we have we have to ensure that what we think, so there's something thoughts come in our mind. So what we think, what we speak, and what we do, all the three things should be absolutely consistent. You cannot think something in your mind, but say something else because you are talking in front of people that you have to talk something very sweetly with sugar coated things. But when it comes to the question of actual execution, you start doing something totally different. Okay. So this is what is called as arjavam. Arjavam is consistency in thought, words, and actions. It's one of the very, very important qualities. You might see, in the case of many families, there could be feud between the brothers. Okay, brothers will have a kind of a property feud or this kind of feud. Close family members, they may have a problem. Then the younger boy, when he is one of the boys in the family, one of the brother's son, younger brother's son, he is going to go to higher education and all. And he goes and then they say, go and no, go and meet your elderly uncle and aunt, and then take blessings from them. These people will go. Children will go there. They are not at all affected with that. When they go and say, this is what I am going, please bless me, they will say all these things. No, Dirga, Yushman, Bhava, everything they'll bless. But internally, they will not be blessing. Internally, they will say, Nasamapu. That's what their thought will be like that, because they have got some other grievance. So that is what is bad. Having a bad thought in the mind and say that cursing that person mentally, and then outside you say, Dirga, Ishman, Bhava, Sumangali, Bhava, all those kinds of things, that's extremely bad quality. So we have to ensure that that is not to be cultivated at all. Our mind has got to be clean. We have to accept everybody as our children, accept everybody as our own people. Because I know there are a lot of people, even now they have a very, very sugar-coated talking. But what is working in their mind is totally contradictory. They may not be happy with our life's progress. They may not be happy with your children's progress. They may not be happy that you have purchased a house. They will not be happy, but they'll talk in a very sugar-coated way, So those kinds of things are very, very bad. Mind should be very, very clean, and you have to appreciate sincerely. So the what you think and what you talk should be consistent. And what you think, what you talk, and what you act also should be consistent. Nowadays many of the companies, they have a minutes of meeting. Why do you want to have minutes of meeting? After having a long discussion, they'll say they'll document everything. That is because they say something in the meeting and finally they will not be able to comply with those kinds of things. So they have to tell them only, you only told that, yeah, please do it. So they have to take the thing, they have to take somebody will be there, they'll take the entire notes and then they'll say that this is what is talked about, this is what is to be done, this has to be done by ABC and he has got to do it by so-and-so date. They put all those things and then they make a chart and circulate to everybody. That is because people give a commitment verbally, I will do this. Later they will not do it. They say, I did not tell you. I don't know about this. I didn't tell like this. All these things are called between your words and actions. Again, there is a disconnect, which is very bad. So, Arjavam is a very, very important quality wherein your thinking, your words, and your action has got to be absolutely consistent and it should be same. It cannot be anywhere different. For example, if somebody says that I'll do this, he has got to do that because he has given a commitment. Holding on to commitment is very important. In case I said that I am going to do something on so and so date and I am not able to do it genuinely, it is my responsibility to tell the people I wanted to do it, but I got into so and so kinds of issues and problems. Please excuse me. You give me another 1 week time. In the meantime, I am asking him to look into it and do that. And in case I am able to find some time, I will do it. That is the kind of a commitment that we need to show up. It's possible that sometimes we make a commitment, but we cannot meet it, but we need to be upright about that. So Arjavam is called uprightness. You need to be absolutely upright in terms of thinking, speech, and actions. So amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, arjavam. In fact, there was one Tamil saint and Tamil poet by name Ramalinga Vallada. He lived in the 1850s, etc. He was a great Shiv Bhakt. In one of his beautiful, he's a poet also. He was a poet also. One of the compositions that he had made a very beautiful prayer to the Bhagavan. What he said that is that he starts off requesting that, "Oh Bhagavan, please ensure that I get the what is that? I get the uh, acquaintances of those kinds of people who are able to have devotion to you always. So I want to have only those kinds of acquaintances who are able to be always connected to yourself, Bhagavan." So he says that, "Urumayiran inadu thiru malaradi திரு மலரை நினைக்கும் உத்தமர்த்தம் உறவு வேண்டும்." I just want to have those association with those people who are having a thought which is always connected to you. He wants that relationship. Second one, what he says is that, "உள்ளொன்று வைத்து புறமொன்று பேசுவார் உறவு களவாவை வேண்டும்." He says that those people who think something and உள்ளொன்று வைத்து புறமொன்று பேசுவார், whatever they speak outside, உறவு களவாமை வேண்டும். Please don't get me association of these people with my life ever. Please God, please bless me that I don't get these kinds of people in my life who think something and say something. So that is beautiful Shloka. Not Shloka, yes, it's a beautiful composition by him. But why I am telling is that this is a very, very powerful thing. Arjavam is a very powerful thing, because as a human being, what happens is that we have to be a society. We are going to be interacting with people. We will be interacting with relatives. We'll be interacting with friends. We'll be interacting with society, etc. But if people do not have arjavam, no, you get absolutely out of. You don't know what to do. You'll be out of ideas as to how to manage things. You will not be able to believe anybody. So one of the important things, the values that needs to be cultivated in terms of individual growth and spiritual growth is arjavam. So very important quality. So amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, arjavam. The next one is acharya upasanam. Acharya upasanam is primarily, yes, we are now talking about a person who wants to have a Vedantic pursuit where he wants to get moksha. That is the reason why we are talking about all these things. All of us are a spiritual journey, and as a part of spiritual journey, we are trying to cultivate those kinds of values which will help us in terms of getting a sattvic mind to help us to understand the jnana. So one of the most important things is to have a right appropriate teacher, acharya upasanam. In those days, what happened was that the children were all sent to gurukulam at an appropriate age of 7 or 9. After that, Yajnapavitam was done, and then they'll be only in the Gurukulam. And then their primary objective is to understand the purpose of life and then get the knowledge. The knowledge is there with the Acharya. Okay. So the Acharya is the person with the knowledge, and he is the person who will be able to connect the student who is looking for the knowledge with Shruti. Shruti is the Veda. Vedas and all the Upanishads are Shruti. Shruti is available. Student wants to gain it, and he is the person who is connecting the Shruti to the student. So if you look at the thing, now if an individual wants to just read something and try to understand, they'll have difficulty. For example, if you look at that way, we are all now, it is a very simple sloka. Amanitvam, adambitvam. We can say amanitvam is humility, adambitvam is simplicity, ahimsa is non-violence, kshanti is forbearance, arjavam is straightforwardness. We can just discuss like that. Okay, but the time that we take in spending all these things drives certain things into the mind. Mind starts thinking. When we are starting to look at the various kinds of scenarios and various situations, the mind starts to think, and mind is able to really get the words behind these things very clearly. So all the slokas are all aphorism kind of a thing. It just gives a kind of very high level of meaning. And we are fortunate to have people like Adi Shankaracharya who were able to get into the slokas and then write bhashyams as to what does it mean. Otherwise, just looking at all these things will be very difficult for us. You can really say simplicity, humility, non-violence, forbearance is all important. No, then we know all the values, but we will not be able to connect it properly. So the role of a guru is only to ensure that he is going to expound the teachings of Vedas appropriately, so that gets sunk into the mind of the person. That is the reason why the gurus are important. So the Acharya Upasanam, the servile attitude to the guru is very, very important. Respectful attitude towards guru is very, very important. And I'm sure that, if you look at the shloka number 34 in the fourth chapter, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashtena sevaya upadeshankite te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. I think that was a shloka where we have studied in the fourth chapter that what is that? Tadvidhi pranipatena. The one who knows this knowledge, you go and prostrate to him. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. You do seva. You do a service into that particular place, and then have discussions with him. Pariprashnena, discussions back and forth and clarification of all the questions. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashna sevaya upadeshyanti te jnana. Then he'll be able to provide you with the teaching. That's what we said. We said that as a student has got to go to the Gurukulam, and he is supposed to shadow the master, and then he is also supposed to understand what all the behaviors of the Acharya, try to cultivate those behaviors of Acharya. He may get up early in the morning, he'll be cleaning the entire ashram. So he'll try to shadow everything and then sit in the class and then understand from the Acharya. So Acharya is embodiment of values also. He also have to learn the values. So for all those things, it is essential that somebody should have a good guru who will be able to guide them in terms of the understanding the various kinds of scriptural teaching that we have. Okay, Acharya means Swayam Acharati. They have got to ensure that they will abide by the proper discipline. Swayam Acharayati, Acharati, and Anyan Acharayati. They will ensure that the others also follow. They will first follow, they will also make others follow. It should not happen that Acharya is only a preacher but does not practice. So that's the reason why he's called Acharya. Acharya in Sanskrit language means Swayam Acharati, Anyan Acharayati. He will follow himself, he set an example and make others also follow an example. And those kinds of Acharya, those kinds of gurus, somebody has to go and then start serving them and then try to develop those qualities and then learn from them and learn the Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashtena Sevaya. So Acharya Upasanam is supposed to be one of the important values. In some of the places, they do a lot of service. Some people do a service, their temple also. With the Gurudwaras, they do a lot of services. So there are a lot of things that can be happening. But Acharya Upasanam is another great thing because you have to have a teacher for this knowledge, teacher who is able to expound this knowledge, and then with the teacher he may have to live and then learn. Acharya Upasanam. So Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Shanti, Arjavam, Acharya Upasanam. Next is Shaucham. Shaucham means cleanliness or purity. Purity means you need to have external purity and internal purity. Okay, both are important. So Shaucham means you have got to start working on internal purity also. External purity is very, very important because it is going to be not only a problem for you, it is also a problem for other people to come to you. So whatever clothing you wear, whatever personal hygiene you maintain is all extremely important because that is the one that is going to keep you healthy. The healthy body is also a healthy mind. If the body is not healthy, the mind is not going to be healthy. The body is not clean, mind is not to be clean. The mind also will not become clean. So body, external hygiene is extremely important. And external hygiene is not only from the body side, it is also essential that we need to take care of the place where we live in. It is also essential that we also take care of the responsibility in the society. It should not happen like if you look at Indian system, we have got a system of keeping our house clean by throwing everything to the next side compound wall where nobody is there. That is one way of cleaning. Whereas, and then they say the house is clean, but outside they throw everything. The American system is very worse. They cannot throw anything outside. So outside will be extremely clean. Lawn will be perfectly mowed. Everything will be kept clean. All the dump, you go to the garage will be filled up with all the filth. Both are bad. So we have to ensure we take care of the external and internal. Both are our responsibility. Society responsibilities. Taking care of our own environment is our own responsibility. Apart from that, purity of the mind is extremely important. Purity, internal purity is very, very important. And how does internal purity come? We are now discussing all the values. All these values that we are talking about now are all very important to be practiced, which alone will start cleansing up of the mind. A clean mind, a fertile mind is the only mind which is capable of absorbing the knowledge. So, Acharya Upasanam Shaucham. Shaucham is very, very, very important. And Shaucham, external and internal. Internal cleanliness is also equally important, for which we have to ensure all these good qualities are cultivated. We also have to have another important thing. We may externally be okay in terms of communication, but internally we do not have the arjavam of a proper thought. But we have to understand that anytime we are hurting people, we are doing something wrong, there is going to be a negative imprint and mark that is going to be on our own mind. It will not go away easily. So we have got to clean that up. And then if you are going to continuously have that kind of negative things, the kind of reflection, the mirror that comes into the mind with those negative things are going to be extremely bad, and the mind itself will totally get corrupted. The mind loses its ability to for proper thinking and proper analysis. It will always be thinking crooked only. There are people who are always suspicious. Anything and everything they'll suspect people. It happens because it is all put into the mind. So we need to keep the mind absolutely clean, absolutely clear, remove all the filth, for which all these kinds of all these things that we're talking about in terms of values will be greatly helpful. Then the next one is Stairyam. Stairyam means steadfastness. That is, you are going to remain stable. You are not going to give up. In terms of any adversity also, you will not give up. There could be there are people who have gone to the worst of the things in their life, but still they were able to come back. Steadfast, perseverance, commitment. Because at the end of the day, everything can go, but it is essential that we need to really come back. That is what is steadfastness. So you may have obstacles, actual obstacles may be there. You may have imaginary obstacles also. Sometimes we also think in the mind that these are all the obstacles, and then we only start brooding about it and finally find that there are no obstacles physically also. So internal obstacles may be there, external obstacles may be there. But when we say that this is what is my goal, okay, stop not till the goal is reached. That's what I think Swami Vivekananda has told. Stop not till the goal is reached. So when you have a goal set in the mind, and when we say that we want to become spiritually progressive, each day I'm going to make baby steps and move forward, and then any kind of obstacles that you have in your life, you need to remain steadfast, overcome the obstacle, face the obstacles, come out stronger. That is what is very important. Okay, that is the Stairyam. Perseverance, commitment, overcoming the obstacles, managing adversity that may be coming up in our life, and then come what may, I am not to give up. I am not going to give up of what I want to accomplish. Primarily, we are all now students of Vedanta, and our accomplishment is very clear. Right? Vyavasayatmika buddhi. We say that the second chapter or third chapter, we say Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha purnandana bhaukshaka henantacha, something that it comes like that. Vyavasayatmika buddhi means have your mind absolutely clearly set on that. Like Arjuna's arrows were very exactly seeing only that eye of the fish when he wanted to throw the arrow. So Vyavasayatmika buddhi, like that. Stairyam means steadfast. We are not going to get distracted in our path with the obstacles that may be coming in the way of our progression. So that is the other important quality. The next one is Atma Vinigraha. Atma Vinigraha, in this particular case, we have discussed this enough in many of the chapters. We have to have absolute control over ourselves. The mind has to have an absolute control over the senses. The senses should not be going haywire on their own towards the world of objects on their own choice. We can still remember the kind of metaphor that we talked about with the chariot with the 5 horses and the reins that Krishna was holding, and then Arjuna sitting over there. We discussed about the example of how that is also going to be that Atma is the one that is sitting inside. The Krishna is the intelligence tongue, and then the mind is to be controlled with the reins, and the horses are the senses which go uncontrolled. So we have to see how we control, because we have discussed enough about these kinds of the need for this kind of what is that Atmavanigraha. So we have understood about control, self-control. One of the most important things that we discuss about Atmavanigraha is in terms of chapter 6, Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga, we were told that every day morning 6:30 you sit down, close your eyes and ensure that you are going to cut off yourself from the external world and then take yourself inside. That is also a practice by which we are able to cut ourselves off and then go inside. So Atma Vinigraha means mastery, control over oneself, control over the way we speak, control over the way we are going to pursue, control over our senses, control over the mind. Everything is all coming under the Atma Vinigraha. Your body should listen to you. It should not happen that tomorrow morning I'm going to say I'm going to go for a walk. Morning 6 o'clock I get up and then I put up the alarm and go to sleep. Then you will never go for a walk. So your body should respond to you. Your mind, my body should listen to you. Your mind should listen to you, and you should be the master. That is what is called Atma Vinigraha. If the rishis and all, they 4 o'clock in the morning, they'll start. They'll start. Any hardship they have, they'll still start. So that is another big quality that we need to develop. And whatever I'm telling you, it's all not a kind of tough ones. If you are able to even make some of these qualities imbibed in our own youngsters and children and our own relatives and friends at a younger age, all these things will make them to be wonderful citizens and great accomplishers also, because all these are extremely important in terms of values to be pursued. I know many corporate companies, for some of these kinds of values, they spend tons of billions of dollars for training people. In terms of Arjavam, they say how to ensure that you stick on to the timeline, how you are able to make commitment, how you are going to make a program chart, how you are going to control, how you are amount of money. All these things they do. All these things are values. There are some companies run training programs for people in terms of how to manage. Okay, so this is very, very important in terms of Atma Vinigraha. And then we have next one is Indriyarteshu Vairagyam. That is, you need to have an absolute detachment towards Indriyarteshu. Indriyas, that is the senses, and Artha. Artha means the objects of senses. You need to have an absolute control. If I'm not supposed to eat on Ekadashi day, I should be in a position to manage and ensure that I will not eat on an Ekadashi day. If doctor has told me I am not supposed to eat sweets, I need to ensure that I won't go behind a gulab jamun. I'm just giving you a simple, silly example, but you need to have absolute control over your indriyas. Indriyarteshu vairagyam. So attachments towards sense objects have got to be under control. It doesn't mean that we need to get away from everything. No, that is not the intention. But we need to have a control of what we do, what we pursue, what we go after, etc. We need to have a control. So indriyarteshu vairagyam, detachment towards the indriya arteshu. Anahankara, that is, you should not have egoism, you should not have arrogance, should not have pride, you should not have vanity, that is excessive belief in your own self, that you are the smartest person. That's vanity. So you should be devoid of egoism, should be devoid of arrogance, should be devoid of pride, vanity, all those things we have to avoid. As I told you, amanitvam is internal self-glorification, adambitvam is external things, and ahankara, it comes as a verbal things. I am this, I am that. So we have to be very cautious, and God, there's no need for tom-tomming the entire world about you. No need of telling about all your things. Fine, you live your life. So you have to ensure that you are going to be very, very cautious in terms of ego and your arrogance and pride because of the various kinds of accomplishments we accomplished, no doubt about it. But it doesn't mean that we need to have so much of pride, so much of arrogance, so much of ego, and all those things are to be. And we also have to keep in mind that any kind of glory that we have is again Ishvara Prasada that we studied yesterday also. We said that Bhagavan said, it is my Vobi, my Vibhuti, Yat Yat Vibhuti Matsatvam. Mama Amsha, that's what he has told. So we have to understand that if Yama Subbalakshmi sings very well, it's Bhagavan's glory. If somebody is doing a fantastic dance, then it is Bhagavan's glory. So we have to also have that understanding in ourselves. Once we have that understanding that it is Bhagavan's glory, then the egoism will start coming down. When you feel that I do not want my behavior to impact somebody negatively, then pride comes down. When you feel that my behavior is not going to feel somebody humiliated, and automatically you start talking to him in a different way. The way of speaking will be different. The way of approach will be different. The egoism will come down. So anahankara, indriyarteshu vairagyam, anahankara evacha. Then janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, doshada, darshanam. So when you are going to be in this particular journey of spiritual growth, we have to understand that one of the purushata that we are pursuing, dharmartha kama moksha, when you are going to be pursuing moksha, we are all clear that we have got this body with the purpose of achieving moksha. There is a possibility of enlightenment or possibility of spiritual growth is only possible in the human body, because in the rest of the things it is not possible. So once we know that, we also should be very, very clear that we are going to have in this particular life, I am Janma, life, birth, Mrityu, death, old age. Okay, that is the body becoming weak with wrinkles all over the body, hair going away, hair becoming, all those things are going to be there. Vyadi, everybody is going to have a problem with our own thing. And then dukkha, all these things are dukkha, dukkha dosha. Dukkha dosha means these are all defects in the creation. If you look at that way, our entire thing, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosham. These are all dosham, these are all defects. Okay, and we have to go through these things and then we have to live this life. So we should not be immediately getting into the kind of ego kinds of trips, etc. Understand limitations of this particular body. Understand this body is not going to be like this always. Understand that every 10 years the body undergoes a lot of changes. It is going to undergo a health problem. It is going to undergo a lot of things. And then understand this and then try to ensure that, yeah, now this is the thing, though this is the samsara. How do I come out of samsara? This is the defects of this life, samsara. So how do I come out of samsara? So we have to continuously start, thinking about that. Janmam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkham, all these things are going to be there. What is it? Is this what I am there? Is it the samsara that I am looking forward to? So what else to be done? So this is Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. We have to look at all these defects, keep on thinking about, and then try to find out what is to be done. Then you will always understand that I need to start now looking at Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudamate. So then the entire thing starts changing into spiritual journey, because Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, all of dosha. We have to continuously start looking into it. One. And secondly, only this body is instrument through which you will be able to achieve further enlightenment, further spiritual growth. So Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. So the other important thing is that you should avoid Deha Abhimana. That's a very important point. We all have Abhimana for Deha. Okay, when hair becomes white, we immediately become upset. When the teeth, some people at the age of 75, 80, the teeth starts falling, they become upset. Then something happens, somebody feels that the wrinkles are taking place, they get upset. Somebody is not able to walk, they get upset. So they get Deha Abhimana. So much of Abhimana is for the Deha. So Deha Abhimana means they have the entire mind occupied with thinking about the Deha and upkeep of Deha. So what they say is that instead of doing all those things, take care of your Deha. Healthy eating, healthy living, healthy exercise is all required. But you will also be facing Jara, Marana, Dukkha, Jara, Marana, all these things. Everything will happen. The 6 stages of body, Asti, Jayate, Vartate is going to happen. But don't try to use your entire mind with obsession of how to take care of my body. Rather, use your mind in terms of how to make myself spiritually progressive. So mind has got limited capacity or good capacity. Don't cluster the mind with thinking about only with Deha. Rather, use the same mind to start looking at how can I start growing spiritually? What is that I can do? What is that I need to learn today? That is what is called an important thing that we need to understand from this. Deha Abhimana is something that you need to be very, very cautious about, and do not have so much of Deha Abhimana. It does not mean that you are going to neglect your body. You need to take care of the body with the right kind of food, right kind of exercise, right kind of behavior, right kind of maintenance is all required. But do not be having Abhimana. Rather, start putting your mind in terms of Deha Abhimana to Vichara Buddhi. That is what is important. So, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. Next is Asakti. Sakti means attachment. Asakti is not attaching. It's a mental attachment, okay? So, you should not get attached to an external object or situation or a person. But Asakti, so what he is telling that you have to Asakti. I think Asakti also should be mixed with the earlier Indriyarteshu. You have also got to get the earlier Shloka one is Indriyarteshu. You also have to have an external things like Indriya, senses, etc. You have detachment. You need to get detachment for everything in life. You cannot get overtly attached for things because everything is bound to change. And then he says, Anabhishvangaha. Anabhishvangaha means over attachment. He says, avoid over attachment for what? Putra, Dara, Grihadishu. He says, do not get overtly attached with Putra, Dara, Griha. Putra means do not mistake that it is only they're talking about son. Dara means wife, and house means okay. So it is not that Putra means only son. Putra means you should take in Vedic language. Putra means children. Do not get over attached with your children. Do not get over attached with your spouse. Putra, Dara means wife, but you have to take it as spouse. Do not, attachment is important, but attachment, more than that attachment, you have to look at, I love my children, I love my husband, I love my wife. That is different. Rather, I am highly attached to them. The reason is that when you say attachment, attachment means the emotional dependence, your emotional steadiness depends entirely on the other person. That is attachment. If my car has got a scratch, my emotional equilibrium is disturbed. If something has happened to some kind of thing, I get immediately disturbed. So what is attachment is you get disturbed where something happens into one of these things, Putra Dara Grihadishu. But it does not mean that you should not have attachment. Do not have over attachment. There are people who are so much attached to the children, they say, but that I'm going to go for 5 years to education in a hostel, I'll have to stay in the hostel. They will not be able to accept that. Then the person says, no, I'm going to go out for a job from Bangalore, I'm going to Delhi, or I'm going to America. Children, they want to go, we are not able to accept because of attachment. So attachment will be a big stumbling block, and we need to know that we are living our life. They have to live their life. We can't always be protective. We can't always be attached. What we have today may not be there with us tomorrow. It might be physical, it might be even relationships. Everything will have its own thing, but it does not mean that we are going to get derailed everything time something happens. One day we'll also go away. Some of our dear ones will go away before us, or we'll go away. So that we have to have love, we have to have affection, we have to ensure that we are going to do whatever is to be done for them. But we can grieve also, but we need to understand that this is what is life. We cannot be overtly disturbed by many of these things, and we can get disturbed. The boat may have some kind of problem, instability. The flight may have some kind of a troubled path, but they'll again come back immediately. So these kinds of things will happen. We have to come back. Putra, Dara, Griha. At least if you look at relationship like Putra and Dara, that is spouse and children, it's slightly, we have to get some amount of worry. Griha and other things, material things, we should not even give much of importance in life. The reason I am telling you that if you look at that way, look at 1947 when the partition took place. There were so many people, Sindhis and Punjabis, who are living in the current day Pakistan for generations together. They had vast riches there, but overnight they had to come into India without a single penny, not a place to live. I know in 1991, some of my friends who were living in Jammu Kashmir, these Pandits, they had left their home, they had left their estates, and then they came and they were staying in Jammu in their kinds of refugee camps, and then they have to struggle and come up. So these kinds of attachments that we have, oh, that is my house, I cannot stay. When there is a problem happening, flood is happening, problem is happening, partition is happening. Tomorrow, in another 20 years from now, what is going to happen in India, we don't know. So we have to ensure that we have to have attachment, but anabhishvangaha, do not have over attachment towards everything. We have to understand relationship. We have to understand love. We have to understand affection. We have to understand our duty. But everybody is a jivatma. Everybody has got to progress as per their own prarabdha. Everybody will move. We have to only facilitate, but we are not going to be overtly attached. But we are there to support them. We are supportive that love them. We are going to be affectionate to them. So, asakti, detachments, anavishvangaha putradara grihadishu. You have to be not overtly attached to Putra Dara Grihadishu. Then Nityam cha Samachittatvam. Always you should be having equanimity, Samam. Samam Kaya Shiro Grivam. Some of you came for this, what is it called, the dhyana practice, meditation practice for those 60 days. Every day morning you start about the Samam Kaya Shiro Grivam Daragan Acharam Stiraha. He'll say that. So he says that keep your body samam. So the samam, this samam will make the mind also samam. When the mind is samam, then everything is equanimous. So you don't have any kind of opposites which is going to trouble you. So samam, sukha and dukkha samam, then labha, nashta samam. So all those things you have to cultivate the habit of samabhavana, nityam cha samachittatvam. When ishta anishta upapattishu, when the favorable things happen or unfavorable things happen, still samam. Nityam cha samachittatvam, ishta anishta upapattishu. When the favorable things, the ishta things happen or anishta things happen, the ones that are not favorable to you is happening, you have to maintain your stability, you have to maintain your equanimity. That is another important quality that one has to practice. So, asakti ranavishwangaha putra dara grihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishta anishta upapattishu. Okay, the next one is Mayicha ananya yogena bhaktihi abhyavicharini. Abhyavicharini means unswerving devotion. To whom? To me, Mayi. Bhagavan says, you have unswerving devotion to me. Abhyavicharini bhaktihi Mahi. Ananya yogena, not with anything else, with me. And I think we have discussed this enough in the 5 stages of bhakti that we discussed in the last chapter. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, Sakama Bhakti to Nishkama Bhakti to Ekarupa Upasana Bhakti to Anekarupa Upasana Bhakti to Nirguna Bhakti. We understood all those things. Actually, what is the Bhakti that Bhagavan is talking about? He says that we need to have this Abhyavicharini Mayi Bhakti, an Abhyavicharini Bhakti, that is the unswerving devotion towards me is that you need to cultivate. That's what he says. The next one is Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. You are supposed to have the capability of getting yourself into a secluded place. You can go and sit in a place alone, and then you should be able to get yourself, get into yourself. It's not necessary that I have to be always in the presence of something. I have to either, if nobody's at home, I want to have the TV running. If that is not there, I'll just go to this balcony and stand what is happening. No. They say that you have to have the capability of getting into a secluded place and then sitting for yourself. You have to be with yourself. That is one of the important values that one has to develop. He has got to be independent with himself only in a secluded place which is absolutely free of any kinds of disturbances. So Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. And I think if you look at the same thing, 6th chapter we have done the Shucho Deshe Pratishtapya Stiramasana Matmanaha Natyushchitam Nati Decham Chailajana Kushottaram. We have seen the Shucho Deshe Pratishtapya. You say that when you have to get into a meditative place, Shucho Deshe Pratishtapya, go to a place which is absolutely clean. Shucho Deshe Pratishtapya. Stiram asana. Sit in a very stiram. You have to be absolutely firm. Sit firm. Stiram asana matmanaha. Then natyu shtitam. You should not be sitting at a higher place. Natu nicham. Then you should not be sitting at a lower place. Saila ajina kusha uttaram. You have to have first spreading of darba, kushala grass. Then over that ajina, you have to put a kind of deer skin or tiger skin. And then was shaila. Shaila means nice soft cloth, and then you sit. So the reason why they put a kind of kushala is it's going to give a nice cushion for him so that they'll be able to sit in meditative posture for a long time. Then when you put the ajinam, like skin of deer skin or tiger skin, insects will not come and disturb you, so you're going to be there. And soft one, because the hair of the animals, deer or tiger will be sometime disturbing you. Put a soft cloth on that. Sit undisturbed over there. So we say Shucho Deshe Pratishtapya Stiramasana Natmanaha Natyushchitam Natriyacham Chaila Ajina Kusha Uttaram. So this is what is a Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. You have to have the habit of getting into a secluded place and then coming into yourself and do dhyanam and do these kinds of the 5 stages of bhakti is there. Upasana is being taught. You have to see how we can cultivate this particular trait also within ourselves. Aratihi Jana Samsati. Jana Samsati. Aratihi means avoid. What? Jana Samsati. That is, do not have a kind of longing inside you that I have to be in a group of people always. Jana Samsati is always I want to be in some kind of party. Where are you going? I have to go to that party today. Where are you going? I have to go and meet those people. He says that Arati Jana Samsati means Do not ever get you into a kind of longingness or addiction that I need to be always in the presence of people. I have to be with somebody. Otherwise, I am very uncomfortable. He says that don't do that. Wherever there's a big gathering, if you think that you have presence is required in the gathering, go. Otherwise, what happens is that you go to the gathering, you say somebody is coming with our adambitvam, the dambitvam will come, then you see the dambitvam, you get upset, then you come back, and then you say, mine is like this, theirs is like that, their son is this. So the mind is going to be clogged again, and you'll be again for next 1 week, you'll be only thinking about that particular instance. So you start losing your mental stability. Aratihi jana samsati. So he says that avoid as far as possible longingness that I need to be in a group. I had to go there, I had to go there. But Shankaracharya and Bhajagovindam says, go to satsangam. Nisangatte satsangatvam. He says that better go to those kinds of group where it is going to add value to you for your spiritual growth. Okay, he does not, please don't understand it wrongly that Bhagavan is telling me that I should not go to a kind of gathering or no. He's telling that try to do only those things where you have to go. Do not get yourself with an addiction that I need to go here, I need to go everywhere. No, don't do that. Or secondly, he also says that as Arati, he also means that do not also have a fear of not going. Some people, they want to be everywhere. There's another group of people, they'll say, I will not go there because they will all come, I will not go. That is also bad. That is, they don't have the confidence of facing people. Some people always want to be in this. Both of them is telling bad. Aratihi jana samsati. Okay, one. And secondly, when you also go there, it should be an enjoyable occasion for you in those periods of time. And you have to come back with sweet memories rather than after going there for 2 hours and spending in the reception party, you come back and become upset for next 1 week after seeing somebody like, somebody came with Rolls Royce, somebody's son has gone abroad, somebody's son has become this thing, they have purchased a house there, she has got a diamond jewelry, all these things, if she's going to clutter Gaya, then your spiritual journey will get derailed. So aratihi jana samsati. That is also one of the most important things. We have to have the maturity. We have to start developing that maturity. Then adhyatma jnana nityatvam. What is adhyatma jnana? Adhyatma jnana is self-inquiry, vichara. So we have to start ensuring that we are able to get into ourselves, and adhyatma inquiry we have to cultivate. So with all these kinds of purity of the mind that we have now got to cultivate the self-inquiry. Okay, so that is very, very important. Adhyatma jnana nityatvam. So adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnanartha darshanam. Okay, at the end of the day, when you do all those kinds of adhyatma jnana, that is continuous inquiry, and what is that you are going to accomplish out of it? Tattva jnana artha darshanam. Then the tattva jnana means aham brahmasmi. That jnana's artha you'll be able to realize. Adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnana artha darshanam. So Adi Shankara has told about beautifully. He told that one patyam and aushadam he has told. Okay. So when you have a disease, any kind of disease, they say that you have to have a patyam and aushadam. Okay. Supposing you are having a high BP. What is the patyam? Patyam means you are not supposed to have a high amount of salt. That is the patyam. Aushadam, maybe they will be able to give you some kind of medicines which will be able to lower the blood pressure. So you have to have a patyam, that is an aushadam. Together, they will be able to ensure that you are able to address the disease. So patyam aushadam. Supposing if somebody is having sugar, patyam is what he has got to avoid the sugar food. He has to avoid carbohydrates. He has got to ensure that he is going to put his lower level of sugar intake, and he has to do a lot of exercises, etc. And then aushadam means maybe he is going to be given glycomate 500 mg, or he is going to be given insulin injection, something. That is the only way for a cure. But if you look at Vedanta, patyam is all the values that we are learning. That is the patyam. Okay, this is the disciplining our mind. That is patyam. And aushadam is study, shastras. Study. Okay, studying shastras, understanding shastras, shravana, manana, nididhyasana. When you only do all these kinds of things, study, shravana, manana, nididhyasana, patyam, aushadam, like that, then only we'll be able to understand adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnana artha darshanam. All these things are all, what is that? All these 20 values that we discussed are all essential for as a means for self-knowledge, and they are also called as jnanam. Because this as is a mean for self-knowledge is also called jnanam. Yetate jnanam iti proktam. All these things that I have talked about is jnanam, is what is jnanam. Proktam is ajna. And anything other than this, anyanam, yatata, anyata. Other things are all ajnanam. So jnanam is only this. Jnanam is developing these kinds of faculty which is going to be facilitating your means for getting your adhyatma jnanam. So that is the thing. And so maybe with this we'll close today. These are the 20 important values that have got to be really understood. And I think I would try to be very fast also with this. I'm sure that I would have given a small good flavor about what does it all talk and how does it connect to all our lives. And it is also essential that it is just not only necessary for our spiritual growth, but it is just for a way of life also. It will be very, very useful. Just our normal life, forget spiritual life. Normal life is going to be helpful. If you are also able to give some amount of understanding of this to our own children and our own next generation, it's also going to be very greatly helpful for them. So, and I would still tell you that if you are able to get across to that book, Value of Values by Swami Dayananda Saraswati, available with Dayananda Ashram in the Rishikesh and many other places, you should be able to get it as a very valuable gift, 100, 200 rupees book. They talked about in a very detailed manner about all these kinds of 20 values. But we also have to understand that these 20 values are not limited to this. If you look at the 12th chapter, we started from the Shloka number 13, Advaita, Sarvabhutana, Maitra, Karuna, Evacha, Nirmamo, Nirahankara, Samadukka, Sukha, Shami. So we had around 7 shlokas like that. All those shlokas are also values. We have to understand that. We are going to talk about that in 14th chapter. We have got few shlokas which has come up in 10th chapter. We have got lot of Stira Prajna which we have spoken from shloka 52 to 54 or 55 in the second chapter up to the end of that. It's all values. So we have to start looking at all these things as a total basket of values which we need to cultivate for a positive spiritual journey. Okay. So with this, we will close this class.
லாஸ்ட் 20th மட்டுமே எனக்கு என்னன்னு சொல்லு கடைசி இது என்ன சொன்னீங்க
Tatvajnana Artha Darshanam. Tatvajnana, Tat means Aham Brahmasmi. That jnana, that has got to come into you. For that, what is that? Adhyatmak jnana nityatvam. You have got to continuously be putting your effort in terms of self-inquiry. And then you will be able to also start getting into Tattva Jnana Arthanam, Artha Darshanam. So you have got to cultivate your mind for getting this Tattva Jnana Artha. You have to know it yourself because you have to understand the self by yourself. That is Tattva Jnana Artha Darshanam. And all these things are called Jnana. Is that okay?
எஸ் சார்
Yes, sir. Okay. If I confused you, don't worry about it. I'll again clarify it you whenever you have doubt about it, anytime later also. Okay. But what he's telling is that these are making us to look at the way to cultivate our mind to become sattvic, to have this jnana coming to us, because all the study that he has talked about, Brahma Vidya, the chapter 7 onwards, he talked the Tat principle about jnana vijnana yoga and then Vibhuti Yoga and Vishwarupa Darshan. Everything is talked about the principle of Tat. So how to get the Tat internalized and how to understand the connection, how to make the mind capable of understanding, because we have to understand and know ourselves only through our mind. So he says that it is important that studying is important, Vedantic study is important, study, and then you have to do vichara, Sravana, Manana, Nidhyasana, all are important, reading is important, and then understanding is very, very important, and contemplating on that is also very important. And only with all those kinds of things, and also with the assistance that you are going to get from a very good guru, I would suggest that some of you might start looking at some other nice ashrams if you have nearby. If you have got very good classes going on there, you go there and sit for some classes there and then understand how those Mahatmas are able to handle the classes, and they'll be able to really be very take you through very great inspiration into these things. That's all very important. So if you are able to get some of these kinds of classes going on, I know in the case of Hyderabad, Swami Tattvavidananda Saraswati Swamiji has got his ashram. 6 months he's in US, 6 months in Hyderabad. He gives a free lecture almost every weekend. He has got a very wonderful lecture. It's in Telugu. And he gives a beautiful, he has got a very huge number of followers there. You can go there. In the case of Chennai, if people are there, they can go to our Paramathananda. If you have some Bombay and all, we got Sandipani is there, Chinmaya Ashram is there. See, if you have some time and then if you can go and listen to some of these nice lectures, it will give you a different kind of perspective of the entire study of Vedanta. Okay, that will be very, because we need to start understanding with whom I am going to be comfortable. I am sending some of these kinds of videos, etc. Everybody will not like the thing. I may like some Swami Tadatmananda, but you may not like. You will have a different kind of liking. So only when you go and explore like that, you'll be able to find somebody with whom you'll be able to connect very well. The teachings can be easily getting into it because they will start talking at a very different level altogether, which is very important for spiritual growth. Okay. Amanitvamadam vitvam ahimsa kshanti rajyavam आचार्योपासनं शौचं स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरणविष्वङ्गः उत्तद्दारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरभ्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जनसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यततोऽन्यथा ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्।